Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. I'm the manager of the AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Womblys, and look who's come to Wimbledon, Manchester United. Now, you don't have to know me well to know that I hate Manchester United more than I hate any public institution in the world. But we're going to host them, and we're going to be nice about it. They're one of the technically most successful clubs because it turns out that you can buy some success. And I know that there are many Manchester United supporters among Wimbly Wombly supporters. Wimbly Wombly supporters usually have another club that they also support, and in many cases that's Manchester United. So I don't want to say anything that would offend those people, like, for instance, that Manchester United, the club, the crest, the players, the supporters are all terrible people. As you can see, we are not doing that great in the Barclays Premier League, but we're also not doing that poorly. We're right there, sort of like upper mid-table, I would call us. Out of the European spots, the top four teams get to play in the Champions League next year, but not doing half bad, if I may say so myself. Today's video topic comes from James Kehoe, or his actual name is Seamus McCogig. I hope I said that right, Seamus. Who is a oh, come on, boys. There you go. That's good stuff. That's Frankenstein. Frankenstein at work. Frankenstein out of bounds. Who wants me to talk about Irish literature. I am a huge fan of Irish literature, and I started out, oh, by the way, Seamus, James, contributed to the Project for Awesome. Off the post! All my dreams almost came true, Meredith. In that moment, I saw everything that could have happened. Wimbledon beating Manchester United at home, back at Plough Lane, playing against Manchester United, winning the game, the tears fall. Oh my God, it would have been amazing, but instead off the post. The post is a cruel mistress. I took an Irish literature class, or actually 2 or 3 in college, and then ended up reading a lot of Joyce in college, as many undergraduate English majors do. Reading Ulysses and Dubliners and Portrait of the Artist as a young man, and then writing a lot about Ulysses in my last year or so of college. I really enjoy. I mean, I guess I think Americans relate well to Irish literature, partly because it's a literature of trying to understand nationhood and nationality. And that's something that Americans are very concerned with. Ireland wasn't independent for many years. It was a colony of England, and even though there is an Irish language, most Irish writers in the last couple hundred years have written in English mostly, and I think that's. In the U.S., we're always trying to understand what a nation is. There's a great line in Ulysses, oh boy, where Bloom is asked what a nation is because he's Jewish, and he's sort of having his Irish patriotism question. And he says, a nation is the same people in the same place, or also other places. Oh, it's true. My dreams have come true. John Green, Paul, John Green, Paul, John Green. It happened. It happened. Oh, you can't hear me. I'm yelling as loud as I can. Your husband is hugging you. Everything is beautiful. Oh, John Green, his beautiful, beautiful head. His beautiful, strong, meaty American head meeting with the ball. And all of a sudden, it seems like in this crazy run of games where we played Manchester City, Manchester United, and Arsenal in 3 consecutive games, it seems like it's not impossible that we could emerge from those 3 games with 7 points. How amazing would that be? I mean, that reshapes our whole season. It reshapes our expectations for this season. We go from thinking, man, this is going to be a long season and hopefully we'll just avoid relegation and have another season in the Premier League next year, to starting to dream a little bit. This is incredibly exciting. Okay, we've got a nice ball there. Didn't go to anyone, but it was nice. It was an attractive ball. So I think that's where my interest in Irish literature started, was in this idea of what constitutes a nation. Like when we say a nation is the same people living in the same place or also different places, what does that mean? Because he was talking about in that moment about the Irish diaspora, you know, that many Irish people don't live in Ireland and haven't in the last 150 years, but then also talking about the Jewish diaspora, and you know, and the question of like, can you be a citizen of two nations? You know, if you're a, or you know, in the U.S. we often talk about Asian Americans, or even more specifically, like we might talk about Sri Lankan Americans, or you know, and I find that really interesting because you know what I find interesting? Being up 2-0 to Manchester United. And see John Green saying, you know what, let's not celebrate too much. We don't want to humiliate our opponents because we're already up 1-0, now we're up 2-0. Let's calm down, not be too jerky about it. We don't want to make them feel bad because they're getting the crap kicked out of them by the Wimbly Womblys. Oh, this is beautiful. Everything is turning out better than I could have dreamt. As you can see, we've had 6 shots. They've had none. Monkwa's going to save that 10 times out of 10. But there's also a lot of other, you know, there's also just a lot of, for whatever reason, a lot of great writers have emerged from Ireland. I mean, not just the sort of like classic, you know, Yeats and Joyce and all that, but also poets like Yvonne Boland, whom I just think very highly of, and Beckett, arguably. Beckett, pretty Irish, I would think. And I like Brendan Behan a lot. But I also like, you know, like Irish mystery writers and sort of like that whole world of the Irish, kind of like working class Irish private detective stuff. So I like to read pretty broadly. I can't say I've read a lot of Irish romance novels, although I love romance novels. I've read some that are set in Ireland, in like old Irish castles in the 18th century, but I don't think they were by Irish writers. But I do love, I love. I mean, I of course, like all English majors, I love Yeats, probably the greatest poet of the 20th century. Despite being extremely weird and obsessed with, you know, a mythology that at times doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But you know, there's so much of Yeats that's very helpful to contemporary readers. I think the idea of the center being unable to hold is something from the Second Coming is something I think a lot about. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Yeah. Yep, it's true. It's very, very, very difficult for the center to hold and for things not to fall apart. It doesn't seem to be the nature of things to not fall apart. But yeah, Joyce is definitely like the Irish writer I've read the most of and know the best. Oh, that's a great pass. What a pass. What a searching, beautiful pass for John Green. A goal from a hat trick. Oh, and he somehow couldn't get the shot off. Oh, but then he made a great tackle. He leveled him. That little man has been, he might have to come off now because he's been humiliated. He's embarrassed. Come on, let's get aggressive, guys. Let's get aggressive. I'm not satisfied with 2-0 against Manchester United. I want to win by 9. A nice unnecessary slide tackle. This is what I like to see. So many lines in Ulysses that resonate with me, even, you know, years and years and years after I first read the book. History, Stephen said, is a nightmare from which I'm trying to awake. The idea of being supersaturated with the religion in which you say you do not believe, which I think is a very American thing. Whether Americans are religious or secular, they tend to be supersaturated with religion regardless, I think. Whether it's the religion they don't believe in or the religion they do, it's the obsession with, there seems to be an obsession with it regardless, a kind of like American fascination. And I don't know, I don't live in Ireland, so I don't feel like I can speak to Irishness, but I do feel like at times there's an American fascination with, you know, the radical other, whether the radical other is radically atheist or radically theistic. And that's something that's very much a part of Ulysses. And also, I mean, just, it was amazing. I mean, the book was written in the early the early 20th century, and but it foresaw so much of what was coming. I mean, Bloom is an ad man, one of the first people, or not first, I guess, but one of the first real generation of people to make their living in advertising. And now we have, not just so many people working in the world of advertising and marketing, but entire entire pop cultural events dedicated to it, like Mad Men, and we think of Mad Men as being a show that's about the sort of birth of advertising, the birth of widespread, ubiquitous advertising, but really, Ulysses is that. I mean, Ulysses takes that back another 2 generations. So there's a lot about Ulysses. Oh, dang it, I was offside. There's a lot about Ulysses that I think just foresaw the coming world. And in its metafictional qualities, the great line in the last chapter where Molly Bloom says, "Oh, Jamesy, let me up out of this," when Molly appears to be aware that she is inside of a novel that's being written by James Joyce, which, is a really certainly not the first like metafictional moment or postmodern moment in fiction, but one of the first. And a really important one. That's a great ball. Oh, I can't get on the end of it. Sermon, fast, not quite fast enough. 83rd minute, time to make some substitutions. Got to bolster that midfield, Meredith, because we got to get John Green that 3rd goal. It would be such a wonderful thing to see a John Green hat trick, a historic John Green hat trick. We're going to bring on Palacios. He doesn't play a ton, but I like him. He's a man of courage, and we're trying to. I've been saying this recently, but I really mean it. The Wimbly Womblys are hiring for talent, but we're also hiring for courage right now, because that ability to get on the ball, to close down on defenders, to press and press and press, to have an extremely high work rate, that is how Wimbledon, with less good players, are going to compete with teams like Manchester United. Essentially by wanting it. Oh my God, speaking of not wanting it enough, I really need you to get to that ball, K. St. Luce. I know it wasn't a great pass. I need you to get to that ball. That guy has a chin, just the chin beard, He has the Callum Kennedy haircut and just the chin beard. I don't know which of our players that is, but I need to have a talk to him about some of his life decisions. Hell's Pels on the ball. Hell's Pels on the ball. Oh, Hell's Pels. Pels doesn't like to give up on it. Here we go. Pass. Pass. Yes. Pass. Yes. John Green. Oh, trying to get John Green a goal, and Manchester United knows that we're trying to get John Green a goal. Did he get enough space? He got fouled from behind, for the love of God. Oh, that's just terrible refereeing. Manchester United's getting the calls even in FIFA. Oh, I hate this. I hate this team. Sorry. I know that I shouldn't say that out loud, but I do. I do. There's a few things. You get a few hates in this world. For me, Manchester United is a bunch of them. Come on, turn around. Turn around. Pass to John Green. Not a bad pass! Oh! 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 It's going to end 2-0. Congratulations to the Wimbly Womblys on a historic victory at home against United. Suck it, Manchester United. You're going down. We're going up. What? Am I too excited? Meredith felt that I was too excited. Suck it, squat and shame, Vidic. Best wishes.